Do it right, build wealth, live life, economic empowerment, real tips, insight on the new Black Wall Street. It's on the new Black Wall Street. Here's your host. The new Black.
Oh my stars, y'all know it's about to go down tonight. Man, it's your boy ERGJ back here, man. Good evening to you all. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight on the New Black Wall Street as we bring you guys a special presentation. One of my favorite that we do is Black Woman Wednesday. And so tonight it's all about, I made a commitment in 2021 to connect networks to networks. And I want to do a good job of that tonight, bring you guys some value into your life, but also allow you to connect with some pretty dope people. I just happen to be a brother that knows some pretty dope women. And then if you find some value that you get out of tonight, make sure you connect with them. I'm your host, ERGJ, certified financial educator, CEO of ERGJ Enterprises, the Black Bazaar, and also the international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. The book that I wrote, guys, The Study of Black Wealth. It's a study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I just truly believe that if you want to be wealthy, that's a big if. I found in all my years of teaching people about money that everybody don't want to be rich. But if you do, I recommend that you study wealthy people. You can find that book by simply going to the website www.theblackbillionairesclub.com, www.theblackbillionairesclub.com. While you're there, just check out, we have another space as well where the book has actually become a mission to help brothers and sisters that are serious about building wealth and building business. If that's something that sounds like you may want to consider joining the club. You'll find that on that website as well, theblackbillionairesclub.com. Get your copy today. Well, guys, I'm super excited because I got two phenomenal women here with us here tonight to share a little bit about who they are, what they're doing, all that good stuff, what they got going on, the difference that they're making in our community. And Black Woman Wednesday is all about uplifting, inspiring, and encouraging the Black woman here tonight. And so I'd like for you to do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that like button and share button if you care. If you care about Black women, if the empowerment of Black women is important to you, also tag a sister. How about that? Maybe someone that you're connected to that you just can't get to quite the way that you like to. You can indirectly impact their life by letting them know about the stream here tonight. Again, hit that like button, that share button if you care. Also tag a sister if you like. Now, y'all know I got to start this thing off with my little poem. So, I do y'all a little favor. But let's check out who's here already. In the comments below, I'd love you to share where you're connecting from, what city, what state, what country, you may be connecting from here tonight. We're broadcasting across the World Wide Web, and we understand that the World Wide Web means just that. We're global. And so you could be anywhere as we are connecting. We are broadcasting our virtual studios here in Decatur, Georgia, and we'll find out where our brothers and sisters are as well. So Latia Taylor, thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Queen always showing up. Vivian Reed is in the house. Thanks so much for being here out of Brooklyn, New York. Shiro out of Florida, thanks so much for joining us here tonight. And Miss Ross, that's right, Ross is a boss. She's here with us as well. And I'm pretty sure some others may be watching and maybe they're a little bit busy. So we're going to start with our poem. And that poem, as I'm beginning to like more and more, Still I Rise. That's right, Still I Rise. This is by Maya Angelou, our great poet. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Because I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides. Just like hope spring high. Still, I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes. Shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard. Because I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. A dream. I am the dream and the hope of a slave. I rise. I rise. I rise. That's right, sisters. Absolutely. You arise. You are absolutely phenomenal doing that thing, man. What's going on, Bobby Blue? Join us here tonight, here on Black Woman Wednesday. Still, sisters, you rise. All that we have been through, all that we have experienced, all that our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents, and even us in our journey, still you rise, and we applaud you for that here tonight. We absolutely appreciate, adore, and encourage you to continue to go out and be great. Now, for our first guest. Now, this sister here, let me tell you something. You know what I mean? I've been watching this sister for a little while, and it's very interesting because I was able to connect with her because I'm an author. She was doing book fairs and stuff like that before COVID-19 and all that good stuff. And so I used to go and be a vendor or as an author featured at some of her book fairs that she's doing in the community. And it was specifically to encourage children to become authors and children to read. I think it was like Yes Something or Help Something like that. And then I was just watching on Facebook, and she popped up, but I didn't connect. Like, oh, this is the same person. And I saw her doing some fantastic things with the Water Boys here in Atlanta. I was like, I know that woman. And so I reached out to her recently, and we missed our first scheduled appointment, but she was forgiving enough to give me another chance. Everybody putting counsel another chance. Sometimes you got to give the brothers another chance, by the way. I'm just trying to let you know. Sometimes you got to give people another chance. I was able to explain to her, hey, I was just going through some family stuff and all that good stuff. And she said, no problem, brother. We can still make it happen. And today we making it happen. This sister here, not only is she pushing forward education in the space as far as authorship and things like that, literacy, all that good stuff. She's a nonprofit queen as well. She know how to get to the bag. She know how to get structured properly to help you get to the bag with your nonprofits. And so it may be a resource for you. As I am connecting networks to networks, let me introduce you guys here on Black Woman Wednesday to Miss Kacey Venning. Is up in here. What's going on, Queen?
Hello, how are you?
Man, I'm doing absolutely phenomenal, man. I mean, when it's Black Woman Wednesday, I throw on my best of the best dashiki. You know what I'm saying?
Looking good.
Well, thanks so much for joining us here today. I don't take it for granted your time. I know that as people, we typically are just busy making stuff happen. So for anyone to take the time, say, you know what, let me come and do a give back to the community. Mm-hmm. Let me come and share some of the things that I've experienced and maybe be a blessing or a light to other people out there. I absolutely do appreciate you taking the time to be with us here tonight on Black Woman Wednesday. But there's some people who hadn't had the pleasure of meeting you, people that I'm connected to and that are connected to some of the people that are here watching us live here today. If you could tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Oh my, I never know how to ask this question. For as much as I've been asked it, I should have a little blurb going. But I just tell people all the time that I am Henry and Joyce's baby girl. And for anybody who knows my parents knows that is a mouthful. I grew up watching two people serve community, both in our family, on the block, in our church. And so it's just something that's natural in me. My mom taught school for 35 years. And so folks thought I'd be a teacher and an educator like her. And while I did not find myself in the classroom for 35 years, plus, because I think she did 37, I did find myself educating. And I tell people all the time that by nature, I think above all else, I'm a teacher. And as I connect with young people, my goal is to teach them life skills, right? How to navigate both school, life, family, friends, navigate themselves sometimes. And a lot of that has to do with my own journey. I am very outspoken about my own mental health journey, being diagnosed with depression at 16 and what that meant for me, and how I'm able to connect with young people who are sometimes told that you're doing too much and you're too emotional and you're too loud, and understanding that those are signs and symptoms of some things that could be a little bit deeper. And so for me, the best thing I can say about myself is that I love people, and I love young people specifically, which is why I co-founded this organization along with one of the dearest people to me, you know, both family and friend, Mark Katie Boyd. And we have just really taken this journey. And as our lives, you know, have grown professionally and, you know, all of that, we've just really decided that this is now the time to do this work day to day. And so in addition to running a nonprofit, which is its own life in and of itself, I'm a graduate student over at the legendary Interdenominational Theological Center. I'm a product of the historic Morris Brown College and the AUC right here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a sociology degreed person. And so how folks deal with life based on how other people deal with them is something that's always interested me. I'm an ordained minister. I am an author myself. I've written 2 books. And at the end of the day, I'm just someone who cares about other folks. And this work allows me to be a little bit of my other selves all rolled into one.
Absolutely. A person who has a heart of gold. You mentioned that you wrote 2 books. I did not know that. What are these books? What are they about? What did you write?
Yeah, so the first book is called Built for This, A Young Woman's Journey to Self-Discovery and Empowerment. And it really kind of breaks down how I dealt with depression and anxiety as a teenager, and how other people can really find their own voice. And so I talk about what it means to build relationship with your mother and your father, right? That's 2 totally different skill sets. What it means to speak up for yourself. You know, I was always the girl that wanted to be everybody's friend, and I developed some toxic habits, meaning that I would do too much, give too much. I always say yes, thinking that if I was, you know, the person that everyone could count on, I would always have a friend. You know, learning to love your body. I was in the 4th grade, probably shaped like some 17, 18-year-old, and having to navigate what that looked like and what that felt like. And so just really helping young people know that these are all parts of your journey. There are letters that I write to my little sister, right? I have a little cousin in mind when I wrote those letters for some things that she was going through at the time. And then there are affirmations that they can speak over their lives, depending on the chapter that they're reading. And then the second book is called Wrestling with Peace, where faith and mental health meet. And it really talks about why the Black church has such a hard time talking about mental health. And we dive into really the church for a very long time was the only place that Black men could go and hear Mr. or brother in front of their name, because they were porters on trains or janitors, or, you know, they were chauffeurs, and they were constantly being called boy if they were acknowledged at all. And so to come into church and you're the pastor and the deacon and, you know, the leader of these different ministries, there was a sense of pride that you had being able to give instruction, give guidance. And when someone comes to you and say, hey, I love God, right? My faith is deep, but I'm still having all these thoughts in my mind and I'm still feeling like I don't want to be here. Instead of saying, I don't know how to help you, because that is their narrative every other place in their life, it was just pray about it, or your faith isn't strong, or, you know, it may be God trying to wake you up, versus saying, yo, this ain't my area of expertise, right? Mm-hmm. Go find some help. And so Wrestling with Peace really talks about how we've kind of navigated away from that a little bit, but there's still so much work to do, especially in the Black faith community, not just the Black Christian church, but the faith community, period, about how it's time for us to bring those 2 things together. And I talk a little bit about some biblical figures who probably would have had some mental health diagnosis too, including Jesus. But, you know, usually that gets me in trouble when I start talking about that. But
oh yeah, whenever I start talking about church and money, I get in trouble. So I whenever they want to let me in, I'll come out there. We'll have the great wealth transfer. I tell you that.
Exactly.
I see we have a sighting here. Looks like we have a Joyce Venning sighting here. That's my baby. All right, Miss Venning, that's right. I see representing for the Venning family. That's right. I rise, still I rise. I did that poem for you, Miss Venning, by the way, Miss Joyce. I did that one for you. Okay. Now, Kacey, you mentioned earlier. You said that you mentioned this. You had this statement that you said that men had I know that you had a problem. You used to say yes to everything. And it's very interesting because I believe that your nonprofit organization is yes. It's something
It's
like
hey.
Hey. Okay.
Hey.
Everybody put us on hey. Hey.
Hey.
What
Helping
does that
empower
stand for?
youth.
Okay.
Yep, helping empower youth. And that came about in an interesting way as well. I usually am the go-to person when folks need things named kind of catchy, right? And KD was like, you need to figure out how to use this. I'm like, use what? He's like, because every time somebody talks to you, it's always, hey, like, first of all, I'm a Southern girl, right? Proud Southern girl, ride for the South until the day I leave this earth. And so for me, it was just, I dropped the y'all because folks would tell me I was getting too country. So it was just, hey, and I would say it all the time. And literally he was like, look, figure out how to use this. And it took me like 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I can figure this out. And that is how the name came for the organization, Helping Empower Youth. It's hey.
Now, I'd like to share this a little bit because, again, we did have some things that were happening in the summertime as it relates to here in Atlanta. A lot of our brothers or young bucks were out there doing what they got to do, making a way out of no way, turning lemons into lemonade by the way of water on the, I guess you could say on the, typically on the ramps of some of our highways coming off ramps, coming off our highways, selling water. I mean, we've seen this. I mean, this happens this is nothing new. It seems like it ramped up, and I believe that ramp up just came from, last year was a year of go get it. Maybe the parents just got laid off, and they would say, I'm gonna do what I can to make a contribution to our household or whatever the case may be. But obviously, getting to the money. Tell us a little bit about you kind of got either. I just know your name popped up as it relates to trying to kind of come to a resolution between what was happening, what we call the water boys, and the city of Atlanta, because there were some concerns. But with concerns come people who can actually bring solutions.
Right. Yeah. You're right. This is not anything new, right? For those who have been in Atlanta for a good number of years, while I'm not a native, right? Native of Virginia Beach, I've been here 23 years. And what I do know is that I have seen young men primarily on ramps and at corners and at intersections since my freshman year at Morris Brown, right? This is not new. But as you said, the ramp up happened last year for two very distinct reasons. The pandemic, yes. And as a result of the pandemic, March 13th, right, is the day that all APS community will know, Atlanta Public Schools, is the day that they said, y'all can't come back in this building until we figure out what's happening. And what they did was send basically all of these young men out into the streets because some of them weren't enrolled in school, or they were half attending anyway, or school wasn't a priority for them. So to say, hey, we need a week or two to figure out this virtual thing and all of that, it gave them free time. And so it pushed them out there because a lot of them are managing their time, right? Not to say that parents don't know where they are, because I want to dispel that narrative that all of these kids have parents who don't care. That is not the truth, right? But they were 14, 15, 16, that age where they were kind of coming and going a little bit more on their own anyway. And then the civil unrest happened, right? And we saw all the protests that were happening downtown, Centennial Olympic Park, on the highways at times. And these young men said, hey, y'all out here hollering and screaming at the top of your lungs. You're dehydrated. It's the middle of the summer. You thirsty, right? You gonna buy a bottle of water from me for $20? Somebody go get a case, and we about to run this hustle, right? Every day. And that's what really kind of heightened the number of young people that you saw out there, because the folks who were protesting were literally giving these young men $5, $10, $20, $50 for one bottle of water. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm like, dang, I should have thought about it, right? Because for them, some of them were literally making $800, $1,000, $1,500 in one day. If somebody's giving you $20 and you got 1,000 people down at Centennial Olympic Park. And so in their mind was like, oh, this is an easy lift. This is a $5 case of water from Walmart. You giving me $20 for one bottle. I'm going to find myself out here every single day to make this money. The protests began to die down. And now because the city's attention has shifted, now it's, oh, this is a problem. This is a nuance or a nuisance rather. We've got to get them off of the corners. We've got to get them off of what the boys call the strip. And I agree on some level, right, that it did begin to get a bit unsafe. And we needed to find a way to do it more safely. So what my team did, right, what the Hay team did, is really under kind of the first initial reaction with KD, Coach Boyd. He took pizza out there, like, hey, just want to make sure you guys are safe. The next day, I went out there with them. We brought more pizza. We brought masks. We brought gloves. We brought trash bags. We went out there another day until they began to look for us. And that was the key. When they started looking for us, we realized, okay, we're building a relationship now. Now we can say, pick up the trash, pull up your pants, get out the street. Why are you out here? And we began to build a relationship with them and trust to figure out what is the root of this and how do we address the root. I sat out there many a hot day, most of my team did, with bullhorns, with yellow safety vests, right? Literally saying the light is changing, get out of the street, no more than 2 to the car, be mindful of how you're talking once somebody says no. So we were giving them real-time instruction on how to do this a bit more safely. Problem is that there's a group of young people who did not have a Miss Kacey and a Coach Board and a Miss Katie and a Mr. Jason and Mr. Asante. They didn't have somebody telling them that. So we would have other groups of young people who were kind of infiltrating their corner that were now still causing some bit of trouble a little bit, if you want to use that word. And so we said, you know what, we're going to have to pull y'all off the strip a little bit, right? Until we can figure out a safer way to do this, we got to pull our group off. And that's where it became known when people would ride by and they would see my boys, right, is what they began to be known as. You're one of Miss Kacey's boys, huh? I can tell, because even though you're still out here, because they're teenagers, they don't always listen, right? But you're out here, but I can tell the difference in your demeanor. I can tell the difference in your language. I can tell the difference in your respect level. And they literally would get stopped and say, hey, somebody asked me if I was one of Miss Kacey's boys. So they're texting me, the person stopping them and texting me. And they finally realized Miss Kacey got eyes everywhere, right? So for folks who didn't even know us and know them, they would always just say, oh, because y'all are acting a little different, you must be one of Miss Kacey's boys. And that gave me some leverage when I would say, yo, I don't need you on the corner right now, because I don't know if y'all say it like this, but we used to say the block is hot, right? Meaning that police are circling. I've gotten calls from captains of different zones. I've got sergeants. If I could go through my phone and show you all the saved numbers I have from Atlanta Police Department members, you'd be surprised, because when they would stop one of my boys, before they called their parents, I got called. And I would have to go out there and advocate for them. Some I could get released right in the moment. Some had to go down to the precinct. We had to sit there and go through that process. But I was the first call, not their mom, not their aunts, not their grandmothers. I was the first call, because when they would ask the boys, okay, what's the next step? They would say, call Miss Kacey, because they knew I could help them in a way, because I was building a relationship also with the city council, with the mayor's office, with the police department, to be able to ask the questions to ensure that they weren't breaking other laws. And if the only reason why you detain them is because they were selling water, then you're going to have to let them go. And so what I realized is that they just want to make money. They just want to make money. Some are out there because they like the thrill and the hustle of being in the streets, right? I'm like, but that is a great sign that you can be an awesome salesperson, right? Because people who make the most money as salespeople are the ones who like the adrenaline rush of closing the sale, right? Closing the deal. So we just have to get them to find ways to tap into that adrenaline in a way that's going to keep them and other motorists safe. And so there are tons of things that we are working through with them. I'm so excited because we got two of them their first part-time jobs, right? They're like legit jobs with, schedules, and you got to fill out paperwork, and they need the discipline. Right? They need the discipline of knowing that somebody is waiting for you to show up on time. So there's a lot that has been happening behind the scenes. We got a lot of news coverage late summer, early fall of last year. And that helped a lot because then it also helped us to reinforce for them that the whole city is watching, right? And it's up to you to decide what you want them to see.
Absolutely, man. And I would echo that. Although in this particular case, the whole city was watching. For everybody that's watching us here live, there are people watching you, and hopefully it's on you what they see, right? It's on you what they see. So that's a great life lesson as well. And I know it's so much more to kind of catch up and see what's going on in that world. I definitely I got a lot of more questions, but I want to kind of shorten them just a little bit. If you as we come through 2020, that was an interesting year for many people.
Yeah.
I love to know about your biggest lesson that you learned in 2020, either business or personal. What's your biggest takeaway from 2020?
Wow. I would say my biggest takeaway from 2020 is we need a lot less than we think that we need. And I say that because we're constantly in this mindset of we got to get the bag, we got to hustle, we got to move. If we're not busy, we're not productive, right? And having to sit still for a little bit really showed you what is important and how you can do more when you have a very strategic focus. And that does not always equate to having to do more. So for me, it was, I don't really need all that I thought that I did. I just need to be more strategic and more focused about the things that are important. And I've seen increase in many areas of my life by scaling back and not feeling as though productivity equates to busyness, or the amount of money equates to the number of irons I have in the fire. Sharpen the one that you have and it'll fill your coffer, and then you can use that to go get some more. But all this being all over the place and got to be at the house and always doing something, nah, I'm over that. That's what 2020 taught me.
Man, I'll definitely echo that as well. I've been preaching, work smarter, not harder. You don't have to work harder if you start working smarter.
That's right.
And let me ask you this, because you're in a nonprofit world. We talked about this a little bit before we came on air, but I definitely want to get this question in. As it relates to how you can assist others in this space. I mean, I come across many people, especially in business, that it's at that stage where it's time for them to kind of create a nonprofit to go around with their for-profit business or something of that nature, or they have that desire to really make a social impact in a sense in the community at large. Being all the experience that you've had, building what you have built, how do you or how could you assist others that might want to kind of or might be going through that kind of the same process?
Yeah. So one of the revenue models that we have as we generate funds for nonprofits, because does not mean no money, right? It just means you are very intentional about how you're spending what you have, is I utilize my 17 years of nonprofit professional experience to help people start their own. What that means is I will help you or complete for you your Form 1023, which is the application that you use to get your 501c3 designation from the IRS. Also, I help you develop your board of directors or an advisory board, depending on where your organization is. That means all of your board documents presentations, interviewing, how do you recruit for board members. And then I also leverage a lot of the experience I have having worked at some very large nonprofits. Had the opportunity for some of the folks that were in my client portfolio to be L'Oreal Paris Cosmetics Company, Hilton, Disney, Home Depot, PwC, the Blank Family Foundation, and the Atlanta Falcons. And how do you build a cause marketing campaign that you can then take to for-profit and corporate groups to say, hey, instead of using your marketing dollars traditionally, give or utilize those funds through the nonprofit, which is then a tax write-off for you. You still get the marketing because we're developing either a social media campaign or some kind of digital campaign since we're in COVID. If you're not doing live events, then you still get the marketing. You still get the public facing, this is what's happening. The organization gets the funding that they need, but also the leverage of being partnered with a corporate group. And instead of you spending marketing dollars that you are not going to write off, you can then make that donation to the nonprofit of your choice. And then that becomes a tax deductible write-off for you. So I help both nonprofits figure out, how do I create a cause marketing campaign that's attractive for a Fortune 500 or Fortune 100 company to want to work with me on. And then also for some smaller nonprofit or smaller for-profit businesses, helping them also find those nonprofits to link to. So those are some of the, big buckets in terms of how I can help support nonprofits in their growth phase. Wow.
So again, guys, I'm all about connecting networks to networks. There's someone connected to you that is like been trying to figure this stuff out. You're now connected to a sister that quite possibly could be helping them get there a lot faster. Those 17 years of experience doing this thing. And you see the credentials. Okay. That's all I can say. You see the credentials. That's all I can say. And here's my last question before we go to the break here on Black Woman Wednesday. Actually two. What are you looking forward to for this year? Now in 2021, we've kind of reviewed what happened in 2020. What's coming up for you?
Yeah, 2021 is really about solidifying this day-to-day operations for and to really maximize the attention and the growth that we've had thus far. We are looking to get in a building, right? Right now, we are still doing programming out of my home. So if I can find a building or a space, nothing else has to happen in 2021 for me to say it was a success. But I'm also looking forward to helping people change their perspective and also change the language of the narrative that they use when they're talking about Black youth, specifically Black male youth. And that's important to me because what we know is that what they see is what they'll be. And I always use this example because it can't get any more clear than this. One of my favorite movies is Lean on Me. And Joe Clark goes back to Eastside High after they had kicked him out, right? And they brought him back in to kind of shake things up, turn things around. He's touring the school campus. He walks into the cafeteria. He sees some young people in a cage. It cuts to them in a board room where he's kind of getting his staff together. And he says to them, one of the very first things that we're going to do is going to tear down the cages. Because if you treat them like animals, that's exactly how they will behave. And when I listen to adults talk about our young people in ways that are disparaging, that are negative, that are discouraging, that is not speaking to their greatness, that is not uplifting them, that is not speaking to the young king and queen that is in them, it literally makes me want to forget that I know God and I want to cuss them out a little bit, right? Because my thing is, how do you speak to young people who have not had the privilege of living life as long as we have and tell them that they're wrong or tell them that they're not going to make it or tell them that their decisions are going to impact them negatively without telling them how they can do something different? And I really believe that we can put young people back on the right track without ever having to mention all of the wrong that they do if we speak to the life and the light that is within them. And so that is what I want to do this year. If I don't do anything else, is but find a building and help grown folks be grown people when we're talking to young folks and let them know, you haven't been this way before, just sheerly because you're 16 years old. But let me remind you of what could be if you choose positivity, if you choose love, if you choose respect, if you choose dignity. And I don't ever have to speak to the wrong things in order to show them the right ones.
Absolutely, man. Hey, we got Zero here in Florida. I cuss a little bit, though.
Me too.
And here's my last thing before we take our break and bring on our next guest. This is Black Woman Wednesday. It's an opportunity for us to encourage, inspire, and uplift the Black woman. I guess we call that women empowerment. But I like to hear your words of wisdom, empowerment, encouragement for the Black woman in 2021, specifically for the Black woman.
Yeah. I'll lean on something that has really been my own personal mantra, and that is, I'm built for this. And there are times where we have to remind ourselves that life is hard. It's challenging. There are things that happen to us that we did not sign up for at all, but you're built for this, meaning that every single thing that you need to endure and to get through is already a part of you. It's about tapping into it, tapping into what is greater than you, bigger than you, smarter than you, and relying on that and trusting that that is going to be the guiding force that's going to get you to the other side. So when you get to a place where you feel like everything in the world has been meant and sent to break you, you can bend. Don't break, because you're built for this. And in that, you will have everything that you need to then help pull up another sister that comes behind you.
Absolutely. You absolutely are built for this. Every sister that is joining us here tonight live on Black Woman Wednesday, go and put a console, I'm built for this. We'll be back with our next guest after the break.
Oh, yeah.
Black Bazaar, man, where you have Afrocentric home decor, personal care products, also Black art inspired gifts. Check us out at www.theblackbazaar.com, www.theblackbazaar.com. Want you to remember this, that once you shop Black, you never go back. That's right, man. Once you shop Black, you never go back, man. You are built for this. What a night. Hopefully you hit that like button, that share button. Hopefully you tag the sister here tonight, as this is a night that is in honor of the Black woman here tonight on Black Woman Wednesday. Of course, we have had some historic things happen already this year, and so we're super excited about the trajectory of our sisters. And being that as we may, we have another phenomenal guest here with us. This sister here, you know, sometimes, you start with, I found some of my best friends, we start out with a little bit of a hustle, a little bustle, and this sister here, she got some Chicago in her. And my family's from Chicago. So I get the Midwest mentality. And so when we first kind of vibed over social media, it was a little fight. But she said, this brother might be on to something. And so she ended up reaching out. And we've been kind of, chopping it up ever since. She's an author, she's a businesswoman. She travels the world. She's a woman of impact. That's what I'm talking about, man. A woman of impact. I mean, y'all just looked at her little schedule today. I'm like, you did this, you did this. She's just making things happen. And so I'm super excited. We're still getting together our formal meet once this COVID thing takes place. But she's a new author. I found out a lot about her. I'm almost like her virtual coach now, it seems like. I don't know how I got hired without getting paid just yet. But we're going to figure that out later. Let me introduce you guys to Miss Andrea M. Thompson is up in here. What's going on, Queen?
Hello. You got me cracking up. Well, let me start off by saying, we really met because he got kicked out of a group. That's the truth. They kicked him out of the group. But I was like, wait a minute, I have to inbox him because y'all moved a little fast on removing him from the group. But that information was key. You have to go where good information is. And so I'm glad you dropped gems, no matter if it ruffled the people a little bit, you still tell the truth about things. So I appreciate that.
Man, that's what I do, man. I say you can't accept my truth, man. I don't know how we're gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? I just gotta give it to you. I appreciate it.
Be
Well,
unapologetic about it.
you are doing your thing out there, and I said, I'm all about it. It's time for more people to know about the greatness that you got going on. So if you could tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Well, my name is Andrea M. Thompson. Like he said, I am a brand strategist and a marketing enthusiast. I love everything about marketing and how it powers brands. I've helped small to mid-sized brands be able to leverage putting their message out on social media as well as offline promotions and presence. I just really love connecting people. That's at the heart of what I do, whether it's communicating their message, what they speak, or what's in their written content on their website or in their social media post. I really love to connect people and to position brands in a powerful way.
Man, it's all about positioning brands. Let me ask you this: what have you seen to be a struggle for many of the clients, for many of your non-clients? I imagine that they might still be struggling in that particular area.
Well, you said when they're struggling in that area, you cut out.
What is trying to be the thing that's most common as it relates to the struggle with branding and marketing?
Well, before COVID and even more so in COVID, after COVID started, I saw that number one is consistency. People struggle with showing up consistently, especially on social media platforms. And the number one question that I get from people is often, do I have to be everywhere? They feel like, social media has so many different outlets, so much content, and different platforms for different things. And so people get overwhelmed pretty frequently, and they're like, okay, do I need to be everywhere? One of the next most common things that I see is that people brand off of what they like. And so I've had a couple of clients that'll come to me and I'll say, okay, what made you choose your brand colors? And they'll say, oh, I really like pink. Okay, well, what does pink mean? What does it represent in terms of brand and consumer colors? And how does it resonate with your target audience? If you're talking about something that's more so in the environmental friendly space, then you would probably go with a green color or have green incorporated into your brand colors in some kind of way, because green resonates with, environmental friendly things. And so you really have to look at positioning your brand and your brand's visibility around what your audience likes versus what you like.
Pat, I'm just doing a quick check here with my audio.
Okay.
I think I fixed it. Okay, it sounds like I fixed it. Okay. So that's with Brandon. Now, I also understand that you're outside of what you do as a business or brand. How many guys are out there right now? You need help with your brand, right? You need help with really getting more visibility with the greatness that you're bringing to the marketplace. And I say this all the time, Andrea. If a tree makes if the tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? And that's my way of telling people, you're not making enough noise. Yes, you solve a problem. Yes, you have greatness that you're bringing to the community. But if nobody knows it, you're helping yourself, right? And one of the greatest ways that you can increase your income is to serve more people. And in order to serve more people, they got to know the problem that you solve. You got to get in front of more people, right? So it sounds like you help people to, one, solidify their brand. Because if I come to you with the idea and I'm wrong colors and all that stuff, you're helping me to solidify my brand so that it appeals in a way that could be palatable for whatever the message is that I'm trying to convey. And then you also help me to help my brand to become recognizable. That's what it sounds like you do as well. Is that about accurate?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely accurate. I like to describe it as making sure that your message is tailored to what you mean out in the marketplace. And so there's so many brands to compete with in the marketplace. The number one question is, how do you stand out in a powerful way? How do you communicate your message in a way that resonates with your target audience and your ideal customer or client? Because if you sell soap and the lady down the street sells soap, but it's no difference in how you're selling this soap, there's nothing to stand out that shows a difference, then it's really not going to be something that's memorable in your consumers' minds. And you want to be memorable and you want to stand out. The best example that I heard actually a couple days ago from Bevy from Bevelations. Y'all need to get that book. Look, Y'all need to get it. That's all I can say. It's a great, great read. But one of the things she discussed that made it crystal clear, the point that we're driving in, is that there were two shoes, Milano Blahnik and Louboutins. See, I don't buy shoes that cost $1,000. So, she was putting me up on it. But the only difference between these two shoes is that Louboutin decided to put the red on the bottom of the shoe. And that differentiated them. They were both competitors, very expensive high-end shoes. But because one decided to put red on the bottom of the sole, it made them stand out and distinguishable. Now they have a patent on that. They have the rights to put red soles on their shoes exclusively. So that helps them to stand out. And that's something that you need to figure out for your brand, how to do something powerful that causes you to stand out and be very memorable.
And we can take that a lot further because that was like the first step. Then you come down to the marketing of the red bottoms, right? And now you have your own. You have your own slogan. It becomes a song. I really want. Sometimes I'll be putting stuff down that people don't be picking up, but your thing is branding. My thing is selling. You get your brand right, I can help you sell that thing anywhere. And so now you start saying, well, now how can we take what we have branded and put package in a lot of different ways that it comes memorable for a lot of different ways, not just because it's the red bottom, but how did you know it was a red bottom? Well, you might just have heard it in the song. You didn't even know what it was. You said, oh, they talking about a shoe. Okay, let me go look that up and figure out what the red bottom they're talking about. Now, okay, they talking about it so much, I got to have one because everybody else got it. I mean, I got to be like the Joneses. Who doesn't want to be like the Joneses, right? Now you also are an author as well, so I'd love to hear about some of the stuff that you have written, or I think you just finished writing a book, or maybe some pre-launch. I think I helped you along the way with that.
Oh my goodness, you helped me. That's an understatement. You really did help me. I'm really grateful because as much as I know about marketing, as much as I've helped other people to market, whether it's been books, services, or products, it's very different when you're doing the service for yourself and you have to know different levels of it outside of your expertise. It requires you to bring your whole self, bring your whole team to it, research it even more in depth than you would have working with the team on someone else's project. And so this has been a learning experience for me. I always like to say that I published with purpose and in God's time. And that's really, really true because I actually wanted to publish a book for the last 3, almost 4 years. And it took me 2 years to write this specific book. I wanted to write a book about marketing because everybody said, oh, you have to write your first book that's going to connect to your brand. But I felt like there's so much of my personal story that people are so interested in that it really behooved me to write about my personal story and combine that with my business adventures. And so there was birthed The Audacity of Overcoming. And the title really spoke to me in terms of what I represent, which is really a consistent resilience to overcome no matter what you're faced with. That could be anything from bad relationships, heartbreak, domestic violence, struggling to afford law school, being a single mother. It could look like a number of things, but that resiliency to say what the previous amazing woman, Miss Kacey, just said, I'm built for this, like seriously. And when you opened up reading I Still Rise, I was just like, wow, I love this poem. Like I've loved Still I Rise for so long. That was probably one of the first, I want to say it was the first poem, one of the first poems that I read, if it wasn't Nikki Giovanni's. I know it was either Nikki Giovanni's or Maya Angelou, but I take so much strength when I hear those words, Still I Rise, because we are just exceptionally resilient as Black women. We rise through so much adversity. And so the book is about that, overcoming adversity in life and business.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that, like you said, it's one thing for you to help others, but it's another thing for you actually to go through and, going through the process yourself, because now you're inside of the frame. So tell us a little bit about these coaching sessions that kind of help pull some stuff out of you. I've never heard this story before. So.
Oh man. Okay. So, well, my first thing was, I thought I needed to be on Amazon, and I'm not saying that I'm not going to be on Amazon, because I have made the decision to put my product on Amazon. But it was a very strategic process in coming to the understanding of why I was using Amazon and how I was going to leverage using Amazon. Now, what you did put me up on game about is that owning my ISBN is very important. And there's a lot of people who are publishers, self-help, publish helpers, assistants. They help people to publish their book, whatever, title they give to themselves. And some of them are really good. So it's not to take away anything from anybody. But in researching some of it, I realized that a lot of times people who don't do enough research and are knowledgeable, sometimes they don't know that they're relinquishing a lot of rights to their book because they do not own their ISBN. Because the way that the person who they've retained has set up this book, it's really back to their publishing company, the rights to it, more so than the actual author. And so that could be a bad place to be in. And so you really made me, talking to you as well as other people, but more so you really shedded a light on the advantage to publishing myself as an author and putting it on my site first and leveraging my own domain space and my own rights to my book to be able to take the majority of that profit. Amazon takes a nice piece of change for you to hold that space on their page. And they do have a large reach, so it may be worth it depending on what your objectives and long-term goals are. But, I can guarantee you that some other people who are in a higher position probably are not putting out content as much as others on Amazon because of the steep fees associated with doing so, when you could just leverage your own platform versus using theirs, if that is a viable option for you for where you are. And so I definitely appreciate you helping me to keep some of my coins and not release them over to the great Amazon prematurely.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to understand that you especially you got all these connections, you're helping all these businesses and all this stuff. You have your own network, and we are in a space in 2021 where people can develop their own network. And this is what we're seeing across the board, from content creators to authors to anything. They are creating and leveraging not just their platform, their own network. Everybody that's under the sound of my voice, you actually have people who watch you, who are rooting for you, who support you, who paying attention to you. They don't always say stuff, right? But they are watching. And everyone has a network. Some are greater than others, are larger than others, because, that's what they focus on building and creating. That's, some people live in a shack, some people live in a mansion. Okay, this is what it is. Now, same question to you, Miss Andrea. You're talking about the overcoming with audacity, or overcoming with audacity, right?
The audacity of overcoming.
The audacity of overcoming. What as you look at 2020, the year that we just came through, what was something that you really stood out for you as far as a life lesson or your takeaway from 2020 in business or personal? We all had an interesting 2020, so to speak.
Interesting to say the least. I don't even know what word you can use to really capture what happened in 2020. Like, we had a cowboy on the expressway here in Chicago. We had some things happen that were just like, what is going on within a pandemic on top of that? And so I don't really have words for describing 2020, but what I will say is, on a personal level and a professional level, 2020 was a time that called me out in a way that I wasn't prepared for it, but at the same time I was built for it. I'll take that off of Miss Kacey again, because what I realized in the middle of the pandemic was, this wasn't my first time dealing with something catastrophic. This wasn't my first time dealing with a crisis. I attended Dillard University in New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina happened in my senior year. So I had pivoted before. This was just another way of pivoting. And so I had to apply those same resilient lessons that I had back then and figure out how to apply them to this situation to really find something in my soul to power through, because we were consistently getting hit with bad news. It was the pandemic, it was the looting and the lockdown, it was George Floyd, then it was other victims of police brutality. And so we were having a lot of times where we were just rattled. And so I really had to get into a space where I became really laser focused. What I realized the most, more so than ever, was two things. I couldn't be comfortable in the background anymore. I had gotten comfortable being in the background of my clients, behind the camera, helping with the production, and not really being in front of the camera too much, but really just helping things to go behind the scenes, connecting this person to this network, connecting that person to this radio show, and just maneuvering behind the scenes. The only people who needed to know what I did was the people in the industry who knew who I was, whose numbers I have in my phone. But after a while, I realized that the pandemic was showing me that it was really time for me to step out and own what I had been doing at an expert level. And I realized that I had been performing at an expert level because the people who I looked up to started looking to me and saying, okay, can you tell me about the digital marketing thing again? Can you help me figure out my Zoom? And these are people who had been in business for 30, 40, 50 years who were now asking me to help them to navigate the full transition to digital marketing. And so it really made me say, okay, if you was ever going to step out from behind the scenes and take ownership and boss up and be the face of your brand, now is the time. And so that required me to get around Iron, and even more so. I've been blessed to be around some amazing people, but I had to make sure that I really realized more so than ever in this season that iron sharpens iron. And I have to be around people who are forward thinking, progressive thinking, people who are positive, people who are solutions oriented. That's key for me, because you can share an idea or an opportunity with somebody and they'll give you 7 reasons why you can't make it and why it won't work and what you don't have. But if you talk to somebody who's solutions oriented, they're going to keep it real with you and tell you, that you might need some things that you don't have, but they're going to offer solutions as to how you can improvise without those things and still make it happen, or how you can go about acquiring those things. But they're going to respond to you with a positive mindset and an optimistic mindset, and a solutions oriented position is critical.
Absolutely, man. They're going to respond with you with a can-do attitude. You can do this. We just got to figure out how. That's exactly how that goes. Absolutely. And as you're embarking upon this new year, this 2021, what's next for you?
Okay. Well, what's next? I got to go back to something that you told me in our sessions. And I know you like my virtual informal coach. I've been to Atlanta twice since we've talked. So we gonna have to, make this happen with some COVID distance restrictions or whatever next time, because I will be coming to Atlanta again soon. So I'm hoping I can connect with you. And I really appreciate all the advice you've given. One of the things you said that resonated with me, and it's really determining how I move forward in the new year, is all around the fact that effective marketing is supposed to speak to your 5 senses. So that's why we have jingles, because we want people to hear the brand, feel the brand, make something that's an ancillary product so that you can taste something reflective of the brand. And so in appealing to the 5 senses and really thinking about this book as a total experience and a movement, I actually reached out to an amazing.
Wait. Say that. I need you to just rewind and say that again. I don't think people heard that little part that you was about to speed through. You're making this book a what?
This book is a movement.
You said
it's an experience and a movement.
An experience.
Yes.
That's what I think also experience. This book is. I don't think. See, I want to stay there for just a second. I want to let you finish.
Your marketing mind is sharp.
But this is key because a lot of times it's just writing the book, and that could be enough for some people. I mean, you're great. You wrote the book, but when you start to really cast a forward vision of this, what you have actually created and what you're bringing as a service or as a solution to the community or to the marketplace, now you're talking about a full experience.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's another level of thinking, by the way.
Well, thank you for that. I think that I've kind of been hard on myself about how long it's taken me to write this book. But the good thing in that is
we sped you up a little bit when you started talking to me. I got to sped up. Yeah, we even
you did speed me up. You was like, yeah. So this is how this could go, and I was like, when I would talk to you, I would get so excited about the experience that I would get scared. I'm like, oh, this is a lot. This is big, Lord. Oh my goodness. But I knew I was ready because I had done the research. I had done the work. I had helped other books to become successful. I put people on panel discussions. I put people on the radio and on TV. So I knew that it was my time. But the good thing about taking that time to write the book is that it allows you to really get in tune with what your message is, who is it intended for, and how do you cultivate an experience around that book. Because I didn't want to publish like a lot of people do, where they don't do anything but write the book, publish it, drop it, and then they go back to whatever it was before. I wanted my book to be a game changer for my brand, and to be a game changer for people that come into relationship with this book. Because when I say that it's an experience, I'll share what I can. I'm always a little bit tight-lipped about it, because this book is let out in layers, and a lot of trademarking has been done. I got my first trademark last year, and now I'm on my third trademark.
Well, congratulations!
Thank you.
You don't have to say too much more. I want to catch on some of these words. I don't think that, again, it's a certain you get a certain ear for stuff. You just said that when people have a relationship with your book.
Yes, it's a relationship.
People are going to have a relationship with your with your work.
Yes,
right.
Because it's the audacity of overcoming. Let me say it how I feel it, as I like to say. The audacity. Let
me give you the screen. Let me give you the screen. Go ahead.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, let me just tell you guys the audacity of overcoming. When you say that to yourself, the audacity of overcoming. Audacity is usually a word that has somewhat of a negative connotation to it. It's like, oh, the nerve of you. But we really have to have audacity to come in business as we do. We're coming against formidable forces. We're coming against obstacles. We're coming against racism. We're coming up against, women not getting paid the same rate that men are getting paid for the same work. We have so many impediments to success. Some of us didn't have a blueprint. Some of us didn't have conversations about money and finances around the dinner table. Some of us grew up in the projects. It is so many overcoming stories that require you to be so resilient. We have a state's attorney here in Chicago, State's Attorney Kim Fox, who grew up in Cabrini Green housing projects, which is one of the most notorious housing projects on Candyman, the movie. I can't say that name no more because I'm still scared to say the C-Man. But, with these stories of overcoming from the projects to the penthouse, it takes some audacity. I've sat in a classroom at a law school that had maybe 5 to 10% minority. In that minority 10%, maybe about 3 to 5% African American. So many of my classes in law school, I was the representation, and it's an unfair burden, but it is a responsibility. And often when questions were asked about Blackness, people would look at me as if I spoke for all of us. It took a certain level of audacity for me to hold my head up high, for me to answer questions that didn't make me feel comfortable all the time, to press forward. And so that audaciousness is that boldness to say, like, I keep going back to what Miss Kacey said, because when she said it, I felt it in my spirit. I was like, I was built for this. What do you mean? Like, an engine is built to make a car go. So look, if the car need a tune up, tune it up. But at the end of the day, it's going to go. And so when you're built for this, it's nothing that the enemy or the adversaries can do. It's no giants that can slay you. You can't stop this train. If you a jet and you get with jet fuel, you're going to the moon. So the audacity of overcoming requires you to have a certain boldness. You can call it the Chicago swag, but hey, they got the swag in New Orleans. They got the swag in Cali. They got the swag in New York. It's just a certain Chicago flavor that we bring. But this resiliency, this audacity of overcoming, it's in you. It's in each of us to do boldly what we are put on this earth to do. Find your purpose and pursue it relentlessly. That is the audacity of overcoming. And that's why it's an experience, because it's something that you can't teach. It's something that you develop and reinforce. And so that's why it's an experience. You see, I get riled up talking about that audacity.
And I'll tell you, I see an anthology coming from you as well. I'm just gonna put that I'm probably confirming what you already wrote down.
You are so confirming it. Like, don't make me cry, because it's hard to make me cry.
I'm just gonna let you know. So just get ready. That's coming.
Absolutely.
As you go on tour and you go and do your speaking engagements, as you build your tribe, you're gonna have a whole bunch of stories that you got to help bring out, and that's gonna be through your anthology.
You and my editor must have been working together or something, because I mean, she's been telling me like, Andrea, this is like multiple books, and then we could do an anthology, and then we do a journal, and man, so I'm so grateful for the people who are connected to me. You, her, and a handful of other people have been exceptionally amazing on this journey. I'm just incredibly blessed. Thank you.
Now, Andrea, this is a Black Woman Wednesday. It's our opportunity to uplift, inspire, and encourage, as we've probably already been doing, but specifically to the Black woman here tonight. So I'd love to hear your words that you have for 2021 to the Black woman.
Okay, so I guess I have a couple words, but let me start off with one that resonates with me immediately. Become, because it's one thing to overcome, but it's another thing to become. And I've had the Michelle Obama book for quite some time. I had the physical copy, and then I got the Audible. And I said that I wouldn't read it until I had completed the manuscript for my own book. And when I got to the final editing of my book, and I did actually take the time to listen by Audible to Michelle read the words in her book, I was like, wow. As one young woman from the South Side who has been just honored to see her represent us, I've realized what it really means to become. To become means that you are embodying all that is in your divine purpose unapologetically. And I often refer to Michelle Obama because, like most of us, I saw her blossom during her time in the White House. I remember from the green gown at the first inauguration, to the bangs and the purple leather gloves at the second inauguration, to the farewell speech with the black lace dress. I've been following her for a long time. And so what I do know is that the more they threw at her, they said so many things about her. Bad things, horrible things. They said a lot of things. But the more they talked about her, they called her regular, average. The more they talked about her, the more she swaned. The more and more beautiful she became. And so at the end of it, at the farewell, I saw her boss up, and it was so many cameras on her. And I was maybe about 5 people away from her. And I got to really see that even in the heat of the moment with all these cameras on her, she held herself gracefully and unapologetically, and she was herself. She didn't have to become what they wanted her to be. She was okay with becoming Michelle. And so whomever you're defining yourself as in accordance with your destiny, it's very important that you become comfortable with becoming you, becoming your authentic self unapologetically, despite what people think, despite how people may respond. You may have to change your circle. You may have to change your friends. You might even have to change your zip code. But it's very important that you are becoming, because it is a journey. It's not a destination. You're going to be evolving until the day you die. You will be evolving and getting better. You never stop learning. You never stop absorbing and growing until you are cut off of nutrients. And so you should always be watering yourself and become what you should become, despite what the world may say. And so that's really what I'm embodying in this audacious year in 2021. I think that's the most powerful word, to become. I mean, audacity is a bold word too, but to become is really to see yourself with the possibilities. Because sometimes I think we get caught up in the dream and we don't think it's possible. But when we really step into it boldly and say, look, this is what I was called to do. I'm going to serve. I'm going to serve with impact, and not even thinking of the money as the primary objective, because when you're in your divine purpose, the money's going to come anyway. So you really just have to be unapologetic and say, I'm here and I was built for this. Really.
Absolutely, man. I'm built for this. Become, and I'll tell you something. I'm just going to remind you or just repeat what I said to you before. Sooner rather than later, Michelle is going to be coming for your autograph. Okay.
I think you're trying to make me cry. You know I'm a tough girl from the South Side.
I just let you know. I'm going to repeat that again. I'm going to drop that off in your spirit. Sooner rather than later, Michelle is going to be coming for your autograph. Okay. So,
amen. Well, I'm gonna be ready. Because when I met her last time, it caught me off guard, and I didn't really have a lot of words. I just cried, and she gave me a hug. But this time, I'm gonna have more than tears. I'm gonna have some talks and conversations with Miss Michelle Obama. So thank you for that.
Not a problem at all, man. This, guys, is New Black Wall Street and Black Woman Wednesday, and this is just what we do here. I've made it my mission this year to to connect networks to networks. I just happen to be connected to a whole bunch of dope brothers and sisters, and I want all of them to meet each other, because at the end of the day, it takes a village, and the village needs to know who's in the village. Miss Andrea, there's some people here that are following you or are hearing the words that are coming out of your mouth. And they're like, well, how can I follow this sister? How can I support her? How can I buy the book? I mean, what's going on? Let us know what we didn't know in order to continue to move, to continue to be a part of your tribe.
Absolutely. So you can go to www.theaudacityofOvercoming.com. That's theaudacityofOvercoming.com. The book is available on pre-sale. You'll also be able to see what I mean when I say this book is an experience, because we've cultivated a book box around it. Our holiday book box sold out, and now we're going to be moving towards our Valentine's Day book box. And so it is a full experience. You can also follow my public figures page, Andrea M. Thompson, The Audacity of Overcoming. I'll drop the actual link in the comments. I'll go back into the comments so that you guys have that information, but definitely follow my public figures page. You can follow me on IG as well at Andrea is the plug. That's Andrea is the plug. I look forward to speaking with you. If I can be of any assistance, feel free to reach out. You can also schedule a consultation with me, a complimentary 15-minute consultation to just discover what your needs are, and if I have services that would fit where you are now. You can go to bit.ly/the plug connect to schedule a call with me, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Man, y'all see, did y'all hear? I'm just gonna say, did y'all hear that? She said, "Oh, we just got done with our holiday box, and we got our Valentine's Day box for her book." You hear what I'm saying? Everybody putting guys on the next level. I'm just saying, this is if you don't know by now, right? If you ain't got the word by now, we next level. I mean, let me tell you something, Andrea. I'm just gonna have a little powwow with you real quick. I know we're supposed to be ending the show, but here's what I noticed this year, right? Here's what I noticed. All my homies are leveling up. All of them, right? As birds of a feather flock together, I'm looking over here to the left and to my right, and everybody leveling up. Everybody going to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. And it's like the whole posse. You know what I'm saying? Right? Everybody's in their own lane, right? But we're all leveling up, and we're gonna all be sipping Mai Tais on the beach, on the island, pretty soon. I'm just saying.
I want to compliment that, because I'm just smiling because one of my colleagues told me about a year and a half ago. She said, Andrea, you are smarter than me. You work harder than me. You work more hours than me, but you don't have more money than me. And when she said that, I had to give my whole life. I was like, wait a minute, now I'm gonna have to figure this out, because if she telling me that I'm smarter than her, work harder than her, more, and I don't have as much money as her, and I know that's true, she know that's true, I got to change something. So whatever your clarity moment is, it might have been something somebody said or didn't say, did or didn't do. Whatever your clarity moment is, I hope it rattles you enough that it causes you to change radically, because sometimes you got to change radically. You can't just make a little baby step. Sometimes you just got to go ahead and leap.
Man, absolutely, man. That's right, Shiro. Ain't no fun. My homies can't have none. This here, man, New Black Wall Street and the Black Woman Wednesday. Want to say thanks so much for taking the time to be with us here tonight. All of our guests and also the audience. Hopefully, you hit that like button, the share button, because I know that you care. I know that you tag the sisters well, because I know that you care, because that's just what we do here. Because here's the deal. Somebody could be watching at some point in time later. They seen your comments and all that good stuff, and they just thanking you for sharing this positive experience that we have in our community, right? Here's the deal. We must be the change that we want to see. We must actually become our own media so we can have annals of what we are doing now that'll show up later that our kids are like, oh, y'all were doing that in 2021? Yeah, that's what we were doing. Absolutely, right? That's just what we do, man. I'm the host, ERGJ, Certified Financial Educator. I want to say, I want to thank you again. I want you guys to remember this, that it takes a village. It starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all we got, beautiful people. Matter of fact, we all we need. And thank God, that's more than enough. Until next episode, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
The new Black Wall Street. Thanks you for joining the show. We gave a lot of great tips, but it's time to go. Take the knowledge we shared, hope you use it and grow. We will see you all there at the next episode of The New Black Wall Street. The New Black Wall Street.